Most people think $1 million Bitcoin in 500 days is crazy. I know Nico does. But one of the most connected Bitcoin investors just dropped a new, huge Bitcoin price prediction that you need to hear. And as you watch this clip, just remember, Cathie Woods was predicting 500K by 2030 only 12 months ago. And she is getting more bullish. Why has her view for Bitcoin changed so much in the last 12 months? Well, let's play the clip and we'll watch it and we'll break this down. Here we go, guys. Let's check this out.
We have all kinds of metrics, but when I was at Abundance, the forecast was, our bull case was $1.5 million in 5 years. So that would have been 2027. We still have time. And we still think that's going to be right. If you just look at the institutional push into Bitcoin, this new asset class, they have to consider it as fiduciaries. When you use those code words, new asset class, what it means, the correlation of these returns are very low compared to those of other assets.
Especially as bonds and stocks are becoming more correlated, you need something uncorrelated.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And so they have to consider it. Now, what are we saying? There are 19.6 million Bitcoin out there right now, and the highest it will ever go is 21 million. Well, okay, there's real scarcity value. And what is going to happen? The price increase for every institutional dollar pushing in now is going to be much higher than it was last year, 2 years ago. It's, we're going to get into, if these institutions really want to own it, what I found fascinating recently, just learned it this morning, is typically when you go through a price move, a Bitcoin price move to the upside, you usually see long-term holders, which is a metric we monitor. It's an on-chain analytics metric. And it means people who have not moved, or wallets that have not moved their Bitcoin in 155 days or more. Yes. Well, normally when you go through a price move to the upside, a very nice one like we've seen in the last year, that tends to start moving down. And it did that, true to form, but it has reversed in recent days because what we learned is GBTC sold some of its Bitcoin. So those wallets hadn't been changed in a long time, right? Now that is done, at least for the time being. Now that is done, and it's going back up again as the price goes up. That's highly unusual. And I think it is because the long-term holder is saying, why would I sell now when I know all these institutions, which own nothing in this realm, in this new asset class, they have to consider it because it is a new asset class.
I have friends of mine who...
There you go, guys. You heard it here first. What we've been saying, I think, is playing out. As Bitcoin price goes up, more people realize, hey, why should I sell this thing? And as more institutional money comes in, you kind of get stuck in this feedback loop where we all know as Bitcoin holders, you're like, I don't want to sell this thing at all. Why am I going to sell this thing for this, funny money, these IOUs from the government? Well, it seems like that positive feedback loop is playing out in real time. Now, let me show you her original prediction here, because we have been showing this on the show for a while. Oh, Nico took me off here. And you can see how much more bullish she got in the last, when did this drop? This was the beginning of the year, a couple months ago now. And this was her kind of, base case, bearish case, bullish case. And it looks like she is moving this up by years. The same price prediction, but moving it up by years, which is all kind of what we're all wondering. Are we seeing this step pattern play out in this price movement? Are we never going to see a bear market again? Are we seeing the super cycle? I'm still on the fence. The 4-year cycle is playing out. But anyways, the price targets here, and of course, these are 2030. So she said, 5 years ago, she was predicting in 2027 we'd see 1.5 million. ARK dropped this one the beginning of this year, saying 1.5 million by 2030. Her bear case was 300K by 2030. It seems like she's completely abandoned that one. Her base case was 710,000 by 2030, which I think that is now her bear case, I would say. And her bull case of 2030, a 1.5 million, is now moved up by 3 years. Again, a lot of what we're seeing right now is there is a whole new breed of Bitcoin buyer, and it is the institutions. And we actually got a pretty interesting kind of news story coming out this morning. Remember Vanguard? They were, infamously the ones that said when the Bitcoin ETF dropped, oh, we're not going to do this. The CEO stepped down. All of us Bitcoiners were like, they stepped down because they didn't buy Bitcoin and they saw the BlackRock Bitcoin do really well. Well, check out this. This is Matthew Siegel on Twitter, and he goes, Vanguard, Bitcoin is immature and has no value. Also, Vanguard buys 20 million shares of MicroStrategy, becomes a top backer of Bitcoin's loudest bull, indexing into $9 billion of what you openly mock isn't strategy, it's institutional dementia. So what Cathie Wood just said is happening in real time. The institutions are here. Remember, Nico, we were here in 2017, 2020. The kind of cope we had in 2018 when the price was dumping was the institutions are coming, guys. They're going to pump our bags. It never came. In 2021, we kind of got this double top play out. We were all wondering what was going on. Of course, Saylor was just stepping into the market. Excuse me. And now it looks like the institutions, whether they're admitting it or not publicly, privately, they are getting Bitcoin exposure. And this is obviously what we say on the show constantly. Don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. Now, of course, Vanguard doesn't have full Bitcoin spot exposure. They don't have an ETF, but it's safe to say if they're buying MicroStrategy, they want the gains, and two, they're tacitly approving of strategy because everyone knows all Saylor's doing is buying Bitcoin or leveraging to buy more Bitcoin. Now, she did mention, some HODL charts, people doing HODL charts here. And so I got the 10-year one. I don't know exactly which one she was looking at. Got a few here. We can kind of jump through a few of these. The 10-year HODL chart, you can see, since 2019, it is going up. Now, let me go back here we'll go 5-year just to kind of play out since 2020. Kind of similar scenario play out. They're going up. There is a little dip here at the very end, and that's probably this most recent price movement. But as you can see, Bitcoin over the weekend had a great jump. It statistically, yeah, there you go. Via price percentage, it probably wasn't that much. I know it only went, about 3, 4, 5K. But I think these moves now are making a lot more of an impact, considering that every new move from Bitcoin from here on out is really starting to eat in at the biggest asset market caps. As I have here, I think everyone saw this morning or over the weekend. Bitcoin has officially surpassed Amazon as the 5th largest asset by market cap. It is, Amazon's kind of pumping a little bit this morning. Bitcoin did kind of retrace a little bit, but it seems like we are securing that 5th spot. And also, we did see that Bitcoin is now the 8th largest currency by market cap as well. About to catch up to, I forget what the Hong Kong dollar is. Do you remember what the Hong Kong name is? Their currency, I forget what the name is right now. But we saw, again, an incredible short liquidation over the weekend. We covered it on Friday. Well, it happened again, and this is why Bitcoin ripped to 123-ish. It's down to 120 right now. But as Joe Consorti was saying on Twitter, $1.3 billion in shorts were liquidated in less than 60 seconds. Bitcoin skipped straight past 120 and went directly to 121. It actually went up to 123. At 2.39 trillion, we're at 2.4-ish. Bitcoin is now officially larger than Amazon. and it's the world's 5th largest asset. Remember this day, guys. We are making history every single day. And as VJ said, 1.3 billion in shorts blown up, and Bitcoin only up 1,000. Sometimes it's easy to forget how big Bitcoin's market cap is now. It's now a pool large enough for the big dogs to jump into. And I think if you put all of these stories together, this is kind of what we're seeing. As Cathie Woods was saying, now that institutions are getting familiar, or rather comfortable with Bitcoin, Bitcoin is maturing. It's holding a very strong $2.4 trillion market cap. Now is the signal for a lot of people. Obviously, they're going to come to chase gains, but now they understand, hey, I can put a sizable position into Bitcoin, and I'm not going to move the price too much. And as this information starts to trickle into the economy, or rather into the investor circles, I think Perma Bear Nico over here is going to start turning bullish. And one last metric before I pass it over to Nico. We saw officially that gold and Bitcoin are now the top performing major assets so far in 2025. This was actually a few days ago. This has flipped. Bitcoin is now performing better than gold was. I think it's something like Bitcoin's at plus 30% this year, and gold is roughly around that 28%. So, guys, we've never ever seen gold and Bitcoin be the number 1 and number 2 spots in the for any calendar year, and this is where we are right now. Now, as someone that is more of, I guess, kind of watching the geopolitical fiat ramifications going on, a lot of Bitcoin doomers out there are saying, the dollar's losing in purchasing power. Like right now is a signal for people to get into Bitcoin. But if you put these two contexts together, gold and Bitcoin are performing the best. When these two perform, it really means people are concerned with treasuries. They don't really want the stocks right now because Bitcoin's outperforming. Is this a sign of some bigger catastrophe in the system? We don't know yet. All we really know is Bitcoin is on the verge, I think, of doing some incredible moves by the end of the year. We don't know what's going on with the Bitcoin structure, but we do know it is going up. It's blue skies right now. So I'm hoping you're still stacking. I hope you didn't sell at 113 or something. I've been telling the story of one of my buddies. He might be in the chat. I haven't seen the chat right now. And I was telling you, he kept telling me 120K top, dude, double top, bro. I texted him this morning. I'm like, so what's up with 120K by the end of the year? And now he's flipped completely bullish, and he's like, we're going to 483 end of year. And I'm like, bro, don't play with me here. You were just bearish 2 days ago. He's like, dude, I've been bullish the whole time. Anyways, the point of that story is sentiment can switch really quickly. And yes, we all been kind of wondering, where is the retail coming from? Is the ETF taking a lot of the retail momentum, or are we going to see a retail FOMO like 2017? I think now is the time where we're going to start seeing that. Who knows at what price people are going to really start FOMOing into Bitcoin. But this is the fun, guys. This is the time we've been waiting for. This is when we're vindicated. Remember, this is when we're geniuses for a couple of months. This is when you can go tell your friends and family, see, I told you I was right. And hey, as Nico was saying on Friday, I'm not really euphoric yet, but I am starting to get the tingles. I am starting to feel a little better about it. So, hey, I'm starting to feel good. You guys already know I've been telling you for a while. I'm going to be extremely bull-tarded on the show as this year progresses. So I'll need Nico to kind of temper me and you guys in the chat to be like, all right, Opti, when I start getting crazy, guys, this is probably when we're getting near a top here. Again, as my heuristic is when you start pricing your net worth in like the yachts and the supercars you can buy, that's probably when we're getting near the top. So just keep these things in mind, guys. This end of the year, I think, is going to be fun. I think this is what we've all prepared for. This is what we've been waiting for. And I know we were kind of bored, and maybe our time preference was a little high at the beginning of the year. But this is why we're here, guys. It took since 2021, 4 years for us to get here. We're finally here. Maybe we don't know the timing on this, but we do know where it's going. It's going up forever, Laura. So that's my take here.
It's going up forever. I do also want to give a shout out to the live stream. 1,500 of you guys watching live between YouTube and X. And of course, shout out to the Rumble audience coming in strong. If you guys are enjoying today's live stream, make sure to smash that like button. Help us break 150 likes within the first half hour of the show. Also, Opti, I don't know if you mentioned this, but ladies and gentlemen, all-time high during the weekend. We hit 123K at 350. Gentlemen, $123,000 Bitcoin. These moves are surreal because I remember, you know, the epoch that me and Opti got in 2016, 2017. You know, the whole cycle consisted of a move of Bitcoin going from a K to 20K, right? It was a 20K move. Now 20K moves are boring, basically. Like 20K Bitcoin moves are just, you know, they're uneventful. Like you're just like, oh, like, you know, like that's cool. But yeah, like congratulations. I've been getting calls from, you know, family members and whatever, and they're like, look, like you got this right, your conviction. And a lot of it came from the fact that they've jumped on the Bitcoin train finally, and they're starting to finally experience their first bull market. And if you guys are a class of 2021 and this is your second cycle, or perhaps you guys are class of 2024, 2025, yes, this is what you live for. Like the Bitcoin cycles, the way they work is there's really 4 months, maybe 5 out of 4 years that you're living for it. That's it. Like that's really where all the action happens. The rest of the time, it's like all quiet on the Western Front. You're basically just sitting there, you're hodling, and it feels like the price is just going sideways for eternity. Like that's what it feels like. And you know, this is vindication. This is what winning feels like. It feels really, really good. But what I was telling my father-in-law this morning, you know, or last night when we were celebrating that Bitcoin broke 120K, I said, like, look, like party's just getting started. You know, it seems like Bitcoin is following all previous cycles. It seems like Q3 and Q4 of 2025 are going to be explosive. Now what I'm
going to bring that up, Nico. Keep going.
Now what we don't know is where the price is going to end up. Now to kind of connect that with what Cathie Woods is saying, this is one of her previous, call outs. And this was, I believe, from December 31st, 2024. And her base case for 2030 was 1.2. She moved that to 2027, or was it 2028?
2027.
2027 to 1.5, right? And this is the kind of the updated version, right? Of the kind of like the targets. And she's moving her bull case, right? She's moving her bull case big time, right? And I think a reason for that is quite simple. Look, as Bitcoin's market cap increases, it crosses thresholds that trigger eligibility for institutional investors bound by size and liquidity mandates. A larger market cap signals legitimacy, reduces perceived risks, and qualifies Bitcoin for inclusion in indexes, ETFs, and large portfolios. This draws in capital from pension funds, asset managers, and sovereign wealth funds, creating a feedback loop, aka a self-fulfilling prophecy. Higher market cap attracts more capital, which drives up the capital market the market cap further. In short, market cap growth is the green light institutions need to enter. So again, it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. The more Bitcoin goes up in value, the more people jump on the train. And remember, I've been orange pilling people for almost a decade now. And again, I can give them the best arguments. Like fiat is broken. Like this is the best performing asset. Absolute scarcity. There's only 21 million. You could take self-custody of it. It goes in one ear, it goes out the other. The thing that what I've noticed has convinced people the most is number go up. When number goes up, it becomes undeniable that investing in Bitcoin, I said investing, wow. Using Bitcoin as your unit of account, opting out into Bitcoin, is a good idea. And it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. And this is the first time that institutions are feeling the number go up, right? So they're feeling this thrill. Michael Saylor went through this process too. He got in 2021. He paid his price of tuition. The price went down. And then you see what's happened to his company. You see what's happening to strategy. I mean, it's gone absolutely parabolic, right? So it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy that even Tesla, by the way, that kind of had lettuce hands a little bit, they are up. Last time I saw it, I think it's like $756 million on the Bitcoin that they bought. Tesla is up, right? $756 million. Like, dude, right? So could you imagine could you pull up the list of all the big companies that you just had? When you see all these companies, right? When you see all these companies, right, and you see Bitcoin continue to climb, remember, all these companies could keep up with Bitcoin. All they have to do is convert some of their assets into Bitcoin, right? They're all sitting on boatloads of cash, like Berkshire Hathaway, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Apple. And as Michael Saylor says, they're basically holding melting ice cubes. And as Bitcoin continues to grow, they can just benefit from it too. They don't even have to pull a Saylor and go 100% in. They could just put a percentage like Tesla. $756 million. They're up $756 million. Like, that's no small feat. And Tesla just got in not that long ago, right? So again, this is the case that Saylor keeps trying to make. It is the superior asset. What are you doing holding bonds? What are you doing holding cash? You should be holding Bitcoin. And of course, this applies to the individual as well. I kind of want to go through some of the reactions. This is American HODL. I can't read some of all of this, but he basically says we're at all-time highs, and his spidey senses aren't even tingling. Prepare yourselves. We are going much higher.
Love HODL.
Right? Here's Tech Lead, and he says 120K is nothing. Exponential curves, and this, by the way, is tweeted by VJ Boyapati, so, I respect VJ tremendously. And he says, and he reposted this, and he said 120K is nothing. Exponential curves move faster in higher price bands. Bitcoin has been on the same trend line since 2023. It's 200K by end of year, then 1 million by 2028. Don't paper hand this. There won't be a second chance in your lifetime. Story of your generation. I mean, I completely agree.
Hey, I want to jump in here, Nico, and keep this chart up here, because I think there's I saw someone else tweet saying something on the lines of Bitcoin going from 10K to 100K was a lot harder than it will be from 100K to a million. It's still a 10X, but as we're kind of making the case, as the market cap of Bitcoin goes up, more people feel safer investing in Bitcoin or saving in Bitcoin or what have you. And these multiples can just increase very, very quickly. As we can see, there is a lot of concerns going on. And of course, the greed's going to take in, the FOMO is going to kick in, and everyone's going to want a piece of this. So I know we have been talking about, and a lot of Bitcoiners have been talking about the law of big numbers here, but I think we are kind of underestimating how quickly it can go from 100K to $1 million here. I know it's going to take a lot of capital, but if the FOMO really does start kicking in, it could rip really fast.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And yeah, man, I think this is, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the verge of greatness. This is going to be fantastic.
All right, speaking of, Nico, let's pull up this chart, the BitBo one. Just, have a little fun here. What's going on, where we are compared to other cycles. I know this isn't tried and true, but we all like to compare where we are to the past. As you can see, I am on this is charts.bitbo.io, cycle low multiples, and I'm might need your help on this one, I think. So blue is 2013. If we get to those levels, that's going to be insane. What is this orange? Orange is 2018. Again, if we follow that cycle, which I literally did the math, not the math, I did, some chart bowling, and that would be like 1.3 mil. And then the 2021, if we get around there, it would be a very disappointing bull market again, and it would be, I think, around 150K. It looks like, as much as we've been saying it's been boring and maybe this cycle's different, this cycle is kind of lining up pretty good compared to all the other cycles. Now, where will we end up? Will we get past the 2017 high? Will we only hit the 2021 high? I don't know, but it looks like the next couple 100 days going into the end of the year, maybe around Christmas, maybe we get a very beautiful Christmas time here. We should see some fireworks play out. Now, Nico, I do want to point out something that you said, and it's this metric here. This is absolutely nuts. As Nico was saying about the asset market caps, we're starting to inch closer to Apple. We're starting to get into the biggest market cap companies, period. And as Bitcoin climbs that ladder, these companies are going to have to very seriously take into consideration Bitcoin. Now, the thing that I think they're going to be looking at is this chart right here. And it is for every $1,700 move in Bitcoin, MicroStrategy or Michael Saylor prints $1 billion in unrealized gains. Again, for every $1,700 dollar move in Bitcoin, MicroStrategy is printing $1 billion in unrealized gains. If you're one of these top corporations, top CEOs, billionaires, you're looking at this and you're like, yo, I want some of this for me. So again, this could get absolutely insane is all I'm saying. When you have these incredible numbers playing out, I don't know, man. This might be a very, very extremely positive feedback loop is all I'm saying. Anyways, that's my takes on this, Nico.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I think, again, the best is yet to come, ladies and gentlemen, like I keep saying. And, you better bunker down because I think, the end of the year is going to be, it seems like we're back at 120,000, by the way. And I think the end of the year is going to be explosive, to say the least. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the next segment, I do want to give a shout out, of course, to Simply Bitcoin's lead sponsor. Remember, Simply Bitcoin would not be possible without our sponsors. So I do the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack, bitcoinwell.com. To get started, you scan the QR code. You go to bitcoinwell.com/simply. Bam, bing, bam, boom. You get signed up within 2 to 5 minutes, and you're ready to buy Bitcoin. What makes Bitcoin Well special, what makes them unique, is an automatic self-custody Bitcoin on-ramp. What does that mean? That means that when you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. If you're a higher net worth individual looking to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more, you can check out Bitcoin Well Infinite. Invest in Bitcoin, preserve your wealth. You can schedule a call, and you're going to have a dedicated account representative of which you can call or text every time you want to buy Bitcoin. This is specifically tailored for individuals that are looking to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more. It's a 24-hour delivery to self-custody. So you wire the money, and within 24 hours, the Bitcoin will be sent directly to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. To get started, go to bitcoinwell.com/OTC. Every time you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, you earn something called Bitcoin Well points. You could use these points towards a bunch of different prizes, or you can play the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest, which we're going to be doing live for you guys right now. Toss a coin into the Wishing Well, and bam, bing, bam, boom. Get your Lightning wallets ready. First person to scan the QR code has won 525 sats. Again, 525 sats. If you go to bitcoinwell.com/simply, You get 3 tosses into the wishing well, and every toss you have an opportunity to win up to 1 million Satoshis. All right, everybody, let's get to numbers. We have tons to talk about. We will be right back in just 1 second. I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Stampseed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed words really secure? Stampseed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of writing them down on paper. Don't do that. Paper sucks. You want to literally stamp your seed into this plate of titanium. Your words are actually stamped into the metal plate with this hammer. So once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and your pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and most importantly, because this is generational wealth, time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin for the long haul. I mean, here is the plate that they crushed. They put in water, they put a blowtorch to it, and as you can see, the words have survived. Stamp your seed on Stampseed. And you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their store. Head over to stampseed.com today. Everybody, you can scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you directly to the Stampseed website. Don't write down your seed words on paper. Stamp them into titanium so they can survive the test of time. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $120,360. That feels nice to say that. Block height, 905,535. Sats per dollar, 831. Market cap, 2.39 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 10.16%. Decline from all-time high, negative 2.3%. Realized monetary inflation, 0.85%. In the
Did that go up? Wasn't
it
it 0.84?
I know, that's so weird.
I thought it hit 0.83.
In the grand scheme of things, we are just getting the party started. Anyways, speaking of that, alluding to that, I know what a lot of you guys might be thinking, which is basically like, look, Nico, like, I might have missed this train, bro. Like, you know, like, dude, like, fuck, like, you know, Bitcoin's at $120,000. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. Bleep it out. Beep. We missed this train, dude. Like $120,000 Bitcoin. Like, I can't afford that. It's too much money. Well, here's this great post by Saifdean. Saifdean says, no, you did not miss the Bitcoin train. We are just getting started. Just because Bitcoin went up a lot does not mean it cannot go up a lot more. On the contrary, the more it goes up, thank you, Opti. The more it goes up, the more it demonstrates product market fit, the more likely it is to go up. That's what I was telling you guys in the beginning. Bitcoin is different from stocks, bonds, and commodities because it has a much, much larger addressable market. Let's compare. Apple's total addressable market is 8 billion people who can own an iPhone and laptop. A lot of them already do. A lot of them are too poor. So there's just not much more room for growth. Maybe Apple can increase by 5x or 10x, but it would need to introduce new products that are wildly popular to do so, which is very difficult. Ultimately, an Apple stock is a claim on cash flow, and it is priced based on expectations of Apple's cash flow. It is not easy to continue to increase cash flow once you're a $1 trillion company. But Bitcoin is money. Its total addressable market is all of the planet's cash balances, which currently includes something in the range of 100 trillion in physical government cash and checking and saving bank accounts, plus 120 trillion in government bonds, 22 trillion in gold, and arguably a chunk of the world's real estate and stock markets, which people are holding to beat inflation, and not to take a risk in search of return. All in all, Bitcoin's total addressable market is in the range of 200 to 300 trillion, which is about 100 times larger than what it is now. All of these assets are trash compared to Bitcoin, and there is no reason for anyone intelligent to hold a significant position in them. Everything held in assets has lost 90% of its value against Bitcoin in the last 5 years, and it will likely keep losing another 90% every few years. The only things maintaining significant demand for these assets at this point are their holders' old age, intelligence deficiency, and susceptibility to government propaganda. They can continue to hold these assets as they decline, making them poorer, or they can shift to Bitcoin and start getting richer. Either way, regardless of what they do, the world's wealth is going to end up in the hard money and not in the obsolete monies of the 20th century. Thank you. Bitcoin has no cash flow to price it. Most no-coiners think this makes it a Ponzi, but that is only because they have never experienced real money. And only as a frame of reference, the hot potato trash fiat money, which everyone smart tries to exchange for hard assets as soon as they can. They're incapable of understanding people demanding to hold money for its own sake, for its ability to hold value, and not for cash flow. This is how gold became money of the world without generating any cash flow. And this is why Bitcoin, which is infinitely better money than gold, is going to continue to monetize and grow. Nonetheless, Bitcoin's demand is highly variable, and with leverage, it will likely continue to be significantly volatile for the foreseeable future. So always keep that in mind, that it could decline significantly, and manage your positions accordingly. And then he puts a meme, I think, of Frank Sinatra, the best is yet to come. And I keep saying that line, ladies and gentlemen, the best is yet to come. This is an incredible, summary by Saifdean, basically breaking it down as to why you are not late to Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get a lot of friends that say this to me, and usually I kind of troll them, and I just tell them I'm buying the tops forever. Like, I really just don't care what the price is. It's the best thing to save in, period. What else are you going to save in? IOUs from the government, or I'm sure, none of them have enough money to actually buy real estate. So it's like, what are you going to do? Buy $5 of a house here? Like, they don't have any money here. And I like I said, I'm always just saying I'm going to continue to buy it. But of course, coming from Saifdean, he breaks it down a lot better than I would, as an Austrian economist that literally wrote the book on Bitcoin that everyone basically got orange pilled with. He makes a point that I think a lot of us make all the time. It's like, there's literally nothing else to save in. If you are saving in dollars, you're cooked. You have no idea what's going on. No one saves in dollars. I mean, maybe there's a few people on Rumble that are cash maxis that do save in dollars, but they're losing their purchasing power. And literally his argument is like, I want privacy over my purchasing power gains. That's cool, man. If you are a rich person, you're probably saving in assets. And if you're smart, you're trying to position yourself into the best assets. Now, again, Bitcoin is the best performing thing, period, since its inception. So if you are trying to maximize your gains, there's literally only one thing to be saving in. And now, literally, we had a barbecue over here yesterday with a prominent Bitcoiner that you guys know. I'm not going to dox him. And we literally, the whole day was just conversating about how when, the boomers realize that no one's going to buy their bags, which is Nico's favorite thing right now, aka real estate, all hell is going to break loose here, because people are like, why am I going to buy this overpriced thing? Or rather, I can't even afford this overpriced thing. Or even if your parents had a nice house and you tried to inherit it, it's like, I can't afford the inheritance tax. I can't even afford the upkeep here. And there's a lot of things going on that are basically pointing to one direction. That's like the best, easiest, most convenient asset to hold is Bitcoin. Now, Saif, I think, is being conservative here. He said $200 to $300 trillion market cap. I think that's just the start. I think my IQ keeps dropping. So I'm at 42 IQ Bitcoiner today. And I just go through, money is one half of every transaction. So I'm going with $500 trillion market cap is where we're headed. Again, don't trust me. My quaints are just whispering in my ear here that that's where we're headed. In our lifetime, probably not, Nico. But
when paid group, dude. When paid group.
yeah, send me 1 Bitcoin. I'll send you 2.
But yeah, I mean, look, I agree with Saifdean 100%. I think the best is yet to come, ladies and gentlemen. Strap yourself in. This is going to be a wild, wild ride. And yeah, guys. Anyways, guys, we're going to get to the news segment. We're going to cover something very, very important. We have an update on the Tornado Cash case. And remember, guys, the Tornado Cash case set the precedent for the U.S. government sanctioning open source software. And then that eventually led to the arrest of the Samurai Wallet developers. And then I was making the case that if the U.S. government can sanction open source software, you know what else is open source software? Bitcoin is open source software. So it's incredibly important to stay on top of these cases, because the perspective that we take and the perspective that you guys should take is that code is speech. And if you live in the U.S., speech is protected by the First Amendment, right? Like, you can't make an argument that text, basically, or code is hurtful, right? Like, you can't say that, right? But that's the argument that they're trying to make. They're trying to make that certain types of software is able to be sanctioned. And remember, sanctions are meant for individuals and they're meant for governments. They're not meant for software. Software doesn't have feelings. The software doesn't commit crimes in itself, right? Like, you know, there has to be a user of that, right? And the vast majority of the coins that were mixed using Tornado Cash and Samurai, they weren't used for illicit purposes. Only a small fraction of people that were mixing with Tornado Cash and Samurai were using it for illicit purposes. That's like, you're basically making the same argument that, like, oh, like, gun manufacturers are responsible, you know, for, you know, gun violence. It's like, no, dude. Ultimately, it's not the gun that's committing the violence. It's the person, right, that's committing the crime, right? That's the argument that they tried to make. And this is why I keep saying elections have consequences. So we're going to be talking about that during the news, and we will be right back in just 1 second.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledin.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. I want to give a shout out to our partner, Cold Card. If you're serious about self-custody, Cold Card is the best Bitcoin hardware wallet. There is no second best. The Cold Card Q is the ultimate air-gapped Bitcoin signing device, complete with a full keyboard, large screen, camera, NFC support, and much more. Do you prefer something sleeker? The MK4 is trusted by hardcore Bitcoiners around the world. Both are built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners, secure and open source. Simply Bitcoin viewers get 5% off with promo code SIMPLY. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin today with Cold Card.
All right, everybody, we are back. I do want to tell you guys about the Cold Card Q, which I'm holding in my hand. Guys, this is the latest and greatest Bitcoin hardware wallet. You want to take self-custody. This has a full A through Z keyboard, and you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 5% off. Head over to the coldcard.com store today and get yourself a Cold Card Q. You can see the back to make sure that no one's messed with it. It comes in a variety of different colors. You know, you can get it in purple, blue, green, see-through. My personal favorite is the black one. You get a red one. Whatever color you'd like, guys, get yourself a Cold Card Q. Get yourself one of the best Bitcoin hardware wallets on the market today. Head over to coldcard.com and again, use promo code SIMPLY to get 5% off. All right, everybody, let's jump into today's news story. And it is a big deal. We've been covering this for over a year at Pride. I give Opti and I a lot of credit for this. Pat ourselves on the back a little bit because we've been covering this and we've been telling you guys what the consequences of these cases were going to be. And essentially, the TLDR, what you guys need to understand is that, look, if you set a precedent that software is somehow dangerous, because software is, what is software? Software is code. Code is speech, right? You're going to go down a very, very slippery slope. The reason that I believe this was happening in the first place was because we know that there's certain elements, and by the way, go check out my latest interview with Caitlin Long, where she does an expose of between the secret war between the Federal Reserve and Bitcoin. It's phenomenal. We posted it over the weekend. Caitlin's amazing, and go check it out. But basically, there are elements in the U.S. government and in governments worldwide, like look at where Europe's going with CBDCs, that they don't want to lose their control over money. Unfortunately, for them here in the United States, there's very strong constitutional protections. The First Amendment is it's very strong. It's very, very strong. You cannot, I don't know what the official line is, but basically it's like something along, I'm paraphrasing here, but something's like Congress cannot pass a law that forbids the speech of Americans. Speech is protected, right? Code, what are you doing? You're typing into a computer. How can you make that argument that code, right? Especially if you're not hurting anybody. You're creating a software, right? Why should you be held responsible if people are using that software for illicit purposes, right? It's not like Tornado Cash was developed to facilitate money laundering, right? It wasn't developed for that. It was developed so that people can protect their privacy, right? Which again is also protected by Fifth Amendment, no unreasonable searches and seizures. But I feel like that one has been thrown out the window in the last couple of decades. But this is basically the front line. And with the Trump administration, it was a huge victory because essentially a lot of this stuff got walked back. Now, why am I talking about this today? Well, the Tornado Cash case officially starts, the criminal case. And I love the way that CoinDesk phrased it, right to code. Tornado Cash dev Roman money laundering's trial kicks off Monday. If convicted on all three charges, Storm faces a maximum sentence of 45 years. But this is still kind of going by the tail end of the Biden administration that was using lawfare to go after the industry in many different forms. It was going after the mining industry. They arrested CZ. They arrested Arthur Hayes. A lot of these people have been pardoned since then, right? They were even after going after the Trump administration using lawfare, right? So, yes, this was part of, what happened during, the Biden era, right? But if you look at what the Trump administration is doing over in the executive branch, Treasury Department drops case over Ethereum Mixer Tornado Cash. So the Trump administration is basically saying, nah, we're not interested in charging the Tornado Cash guys. No, we're dropping that case. That was back in July 7th. Unfortunately, the DOJ case is still active. So let's do kind of like a high-level summary of the events and the ramifications of that and where we are right now. So in 2022, Biden's Treasury and DOJ went after Tornado Cash, alleging it was used by North Korean hackers to launder billions. OFAC blacklisted smart contract code, not just people, setting a very dangerous precedent. Dutch police arrested developer Alexei Pertsev, and the U.S. indicted Roman and others. Their crime? Publishing open source privacy code. This was a direct assault on the idea that code is speech. By the way, I think they did it on purpose. Why do I think they did it on purpose? Well, you know what else is open source code? Bitcoin. The moment that this happened, I remember looking at Opti, I said, oh my God, if Coin Center loses their lawsuits against this, they're going to start going after bigger fish because not that many people knew about Tornado Cash. As soon as the Tornado Cash case happened and Coin Center sued and they lost that lawsuit, 2 months later, they arrested the Samurai Wallet developers. That's when me and Opti got political all of a sudden. That's when me and Opti threw our hat in the ring and we said, hey, listen, we got to vote for the pro-Bitcoin candidate, which at the time was President Trump and RFK Jr. Elections have consequences. The reason I'm saying that is, take a look at this. Treasury Department drops case over Tornado Cash. You know who's controlled the Treasury Department? The Trump administration. Anyways, so in a major reversal, Treasury dropped its civil enforcement case against Tornado Cash co-founder Roman Storm in July 2025. This signals that even the U.S. government knows its legal theory was shaky. While the criminal case from DOJ is still alive, the civil case folding is a huge signal the tide is turning. With the Trump administration in power and Project 2025 in motion, there's hope that federal agencies will stop treating open source developers as criminals. Expect pressure to reassert First Amendment protections and roll back this kind of regulatory overreach, which has already been happening. So what's on the line for open source developers? If developers can be arrested for writing privacy tools, Bitcoin developers are next. Tools like Samurai, Wasabi, Join Market, and even Lightning privacy layers could be targets. And I believe that was the end goal. If Trump didn't win this last election, better said, if a pro-Bitcoin president didn't win this last election, make no mistake, they would have kept going because they want a central bank digital currency. Now, why does all this matter? Why does a Tornado Cash, which is not a Bitcoin, it's not Bitcoin related, I think it's Ethereum related, why does all this matter? Well, Bitcoin is open source code. It's neutral code. Just like Tornado Cash, fundamentally, it's open source code. If the government can sanction or prosecute code, Bitcoin's privacy future is at risk. This case was about whether financial privacy is allowed to exist outside state control. The TLDR, Treasury just folded on Tornado Cash. That's a win, but the fight isn't over. If we don't draw the line now, Bitcoin developers could be next. The case is the front line for financial freedom, privacy, and freedom of speech in the digital age. And that's why we're covering this case today. There will be more developments. Follow Frank Corva, political correspondent for Bitcoin Magazine. He's there at the trial. It begins today. Go give his account a follow to see what the latest updates are going to be from the trial. And of course, our prayers go out to Roman and his family. Again, you shouldn't be getting arrested for writing code in the United States of America, where specifically your freedom of speech is protected by the First Amendment. And again, It wasn't for money laundering. It wasn't for all these reasons. It was specifically because they want a CBDC, and they saw this as an attack vector. And again, to kind of weave it back in, last thing I'll say before I pass it on to Opti, ladies and gentlemen, as much as you don't like politics, as much as you don't like elections, because I know a lot of you are hardcore Bitcoiners, elections have consequences. Take a look at the podcast that I just did with Caitlin Long. If a pro-Bitcoin president did not win this previous election, I think me and Opti would probably be in El Salvador right now, to be honest with you. Opti, what's your take, brother?
Yeah, well, we've been covering this story for a long time, and as we laid out when this initially dropped, this was going to be a precedent for attacking Bitcoin developers, and that became true. And now that this is the first day of the court case, or the trial rather, I think this is going to be very important, and I think whatever happens here will have consequences moving forward for everyone, and I'm really hoping that we see some good stuff come out of this, because if not, they are actively trying to make privacy criminal. We fundamentally think the opposite. I don't know if I go so far as saying privacy is a human right per se, but I do like the direction of that meme. I think we should have privacy, and I don't think there should be anything done by the state to stop privacy, whether they like it or not. And so whatever happens here, of course, this is in Southern District of New York, I believe. So part of me is not that hopeful, considering that's, not the best place to have this trial. But I am hopeful that reason does prevail here, and that this president is set in a good way. And hopefully Roman Storm does walk free here, because we saw that this was an active attack by the Biden administration, or, the SDNY. We saw them attack Tornado Cash. We saw them further attack Samurai. And I really hope that moving forward, this is put to rest. And as everyone in the chat saying, this happened in the 90s. We're kind of reliving something that's already kind of happened, but with new technology. And so I am hopeful. I am optimistic that this is going to go and turn in our favor, or in the best outcome for us in the Bitcoin industry. Also, I'm not the biggest fan of courts in general, so I don't know if I'm holding my breath on this, Nico, but this is a huge court case happening right now, and let's just hope for the best, I guess.
Absolutely. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are your number one source for tomorrow's Bitcoin news today. So stay tuned to Simply Bitcoin. We'll keep you updated on this case. This is the front line for the battle for, is code speech here in the United States. This case is going to set the precedent. We're going to be on top of it. It's extremely important for our industry. Fundamentally, at the end of the day, Bitcoin is open source. And if they're saying that, and you want to know, you guys want to know why Satoshi is anonymous, ladies and gentlemen? This is why. This is exactly why Satoshi disappeared. This is why he's anonymous, right? Because even with constitutional protection, fundamentally, ladies and gentlemen, we are playing for all the marbles. This is what you guys have to understand. This is what you guys have to get into your minds, right? Fundamentally, we are basically saying we don't want to use the government's money. We want to use our own money. We want to be able to choose what money we want to use. I don't know about you guys, but I don't remember any law being passed or any social contract that basically says you're forced to use it. Like, that is crazy. That's nuts. And then not only that, I don't think Bitcoin would have even been invented if inflation wasn't a thing. Bitcoin was a reaction to inflation. Bitcoin was a reaction to the crime that happened in 2008, where the quantitative easing experiment began. And it basically, like, if you are in the younger generations, like, you cannot afford a home. You cannot afford to live. Bitcoin was an immune response to that. So don't let them demonize you. Don't let them make you feel like you're doing something wrong because you choose to use a money that isn't debasable, is censorship resistant, has absolute scarcity. And this is my opinion. Bitcoin is money. Like fundamentally, Bitcoin is whatever you want it to be. Bitcoin is a tool, right? And it's a better money. It's better money than fiat. And I'm not the only one that said this. We played you guys a clip of Ricardo Salinas on the Breelove podcast, and he's even saying it. Like, look, like fiat is bad. You know, no man should have the power to create money for free that another man has to work for. That's messed up. It misaligns incentives. I think it breaks things on a spiritual level, on an economic level, and this is what Bitcoin fixes, right? So we're going to stay on top of this case. Anyways, let's move on to the culture. We have tons to talk about. We will be right back in just 1 second.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at HIVEdigitaltech.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. Opti, I don't even know. What do you have for the culture segment today?
Yeah, well, it looks, I don't know, man. It looks like a new FUD is circulating here. We have a new angle here, and there's actually two different people that are saying something very similar. And the first one, well, this isn't the first one, but I'm going to start here because the next one is a clip. We have Tim Pool tweeting this morning. 9:14, he goes, Bitcoin is going to hit $1 million because it's the globalist reserve asset. Kind of disappointing to hear from Tim Pool. We know he is a Bitcoiner, so maybe he's trolling. Maybe this is just a troll here, and he's just like kind of leaning into people's fears. If this was just the only tweet, then it wouldn't really be a news story, I would say. But we got this clip from Mike Benz, and Mike Benz has been doing really good work. And he's kind of saying something very similar. So,
Can we play this?
Yeah, I'm gonna play it.
Can we play this though?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I don't think he says anything bad.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there's nothing really bad in here. It seemed pretty tame. I mean, he only says about the CIA, so I don't think it's too bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too bad. All right, let's play the clip, and maybe if we have to, we'll drop it down. But he goes, there's very few, and it's just from his Twitter. There are very few, quote, pure play bets on the market for CI money laundering, and Bitcoin is one. So, putting these two together, it seems like there's a new FUD starting to percolate. And let's just watch the clip, and then we'll chat about it.
I'm bullish on CIA money laundering. There is an almost infinite need for creative structuring to obscure illicit sources of funds, for arms trafficking, a lot of people say, they only use crypto or Bitcoin to buy. They make it sound like the people doing that are,
okay.
Your retail street corner, the underdogs doing.
Just mute it, and then we'll talk over it.
I'll edit it.
We'll talk over it. But no, it's fine. It's fine. But okay, basically, he's making the case that three-letter agencies are using Bitcoin to launder money. What I find it kind of ironic too. Also, is that someone's saying that Tim Pool is trolling. What I find ironic though is like how they just how they are charging Roman with money laundering, for using open source software. And then Mike Benz is making the case that, certain agencies are using Bitcoin for the very thing that he's being charged for. So it's kind of like a rules for thee and not for me type of situation. And of course, we're just being cautious here, ladies and gentlemen, because of the platforms we post on. We love you, YouTube, and we're trying to adhere to your community guidelines as much as possible. We're trying to adhere to your community guidelines as much as we can. No, we're doing our best. Okay. And yeah, man, I mean, I just, what do you think though? Do you think it's true? Do you think he's just sad that he didn't, you know?
No, I think Mike Benz is a Bitcoiner. And like, as we've been saying on the show for a while, we all know what criminals actually use, what's the money of choice there, and it's obviously the dollar. And so there is this kind of hypocrisy that we're seeing play out in real time where they blame Bitcoin for all the bad stuff going on. And yes, maybe there is probably a small portion of Bitcoin that is being used for such cases. But in reality, it's much more than that. And it really kind of goes back to the same idea of, you know, a tool is a tool and it doesn't really matter how someone uses it, or it's really not the tool's kind of fault that someone uses it in the wrong way.
Correct, but don't you find it ironic that they're charging Roman?
100%, 100%.
It's like
now
you can't have it one way or the other.
Well, see,
you know?
that's where you and I kind of go against each other, Nico, is because the powers that be can very obviously have it both ways. They make the rules. They can do whatever they want.
But that's where the veneer like kind of falls off, right? You know, that's where the veneer falls off, and you know, like it's kind of like rules for thee and not for me. And it kind of reminds me of like Elon in the beginning of the year with USAID. And, you know, he's like finding basically all this, how do I say this nicely, man? Inefficiencies in government resources. And he's basically getting attacked left and right. They don't want him to audit. But at the simultaneously, as citizens, we're expected to be okay with being audited, right? You know, like again, like there's a social contract. You have to follow the law. You know, you have to follow the community guidelines here on YouTube, and you know you have to play by the rules. But I think what really makes me upset, right, is what really makes me upset is rules for thee and not for me. Right, it's a two-tier system, right? People are operating on different tiers, and the rest of us are expected to operate on another tier. And I think that's unjust, and I think that's exactly what Bitcoin fixes. So, you know, that's what I'll say about that, man. But that clip is quite interesting. We wish we could have played it for you guys in totality, but you know, we obviously want to respect YouTube and follow their community guidelines as much as possible.
I was going to drop in the chat, but I probably can't do that. Go to Mike Benz's Twitter and watch the clip for yourself.
So anyways, all right, well, this is a great start to a Monday, guys. If you guys enjoyed the show, like I said, really helps us if you guys smash the like button. We're almost at 3,000 live viewers. I think we hit like 700 on YouTube today. Appreciate all you guys. Love you guys. 120 on Rumble. I can't believe this. I mean, when me and Opti started this show, like, you know, we took it live. Like, you know, we were hyped to get, you know, 10 people or 20 people in the live show. So
that was 100. If we broke 100, we were super hyped.
We were super happy. So, you know, I can't believe, you know, you're making our dreams possible, and we wouldn't be here without you, without our partners. So we appreciate all you guys. We love you guys. Smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. And of course, we'll be back tomorrow for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. Take care, everybody.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.